is a very thought-provoking short that we're going to do, and hopefully it's super short because it's a really hard one to be able to discuss. In study this week, we talked about God's sovereignty and what that means, and one person mentioned this: there is nothing that happens in the universe that is outside of God's influence or authority. So God has ultimate authority. God has ultimate influence. He is all-controlling. He is excellent in everything he does. He is also free from everything that we are held to. Gravity, time, space, law, all this stuff. He is not in that. He is outside of that. So God is completely sovereign. And in Habakkuk, he's asking God, why do you let evil roam around among your people? Why don't you do something about it? Why do you let the wicked prosper and the godly live in languish? Why don't you judge the evil in the nation? And I don't know about you, but sometimes I wonder that. I'm like, God, there's so many bad things that happen. Why aren't you doing something about it? And usually I hear nothing because it's much bigger than I can comprehend. But in Habakkuk, God tells him what's about to happen, and it blows Habakkuk's mind. It's so, oh my gosh, it's nothing that he's ever heard of before. And it takes him a while to get the grasp of it. He wants to understand it, but he can't. He's like, I don't get it, God. I don't understand. And we're going to touch on that next week. But for this week, when Habakkuk was asking these questions, God answered him and said, I have a plan, and it's going to involve a wicked nation, and they're going to come in and they're going to take over Judah. Now, this wicked nation, last week I accidentally told you it was Assyria. It's not Assyria, it's Babylon. So Babylon is going to come in, they're going to take Judah into captivity a few hundred years later. Habakkuk questions God, not in a bad way, he just wants to understand. He is asking God because he wants to understand God's plan, God's sovereignty. And God gives him a glimpse of his sovereignty and shows him his plan, and it's this revelation to Habakkuk, and it's not necessarily an explanation. He doesn't give Habakkuk an explanation to why he's doing this. He gives him a revelation of his sovereignty. In verse 5, Habakkuk 1 verse 5, God prepares him. Listen, I'm going to tell you this, but you're still not going to believe it. And sure enough, that's what happens. But God is raising up something wicked to come accomplish something good. And you think, how can this happen? Now, this topic has split denominations before. God's sovereignty, free will, predestination, choice, all of this stuff. There's biblical backgrounds for both of these things, for all of these things. And it's up to you, I guess, what your convictions are for it. I'm not going to tell you what mine are, but what I do believe, I firmly believe. But God is using a wicked nation to take over Judah. And I wonder, 2001, where you were at when you heard the trade towers had been bombed. It was my senior year, I was in class, and our teachers came in and they were just white, and they were shocked, and they were the type of teachers to tell us something to make us think about what we would do in that situation. So when they told us, hey, we've been attacked, we all started thinking in class and logically, what would we do if we were in that circumstance? And they're like, no, you don't understand. This is really happening. This is not part of the class. This is not a test. This is not anything. This is really happening. We've just been attacked an hour ago in New York. So I wonder, was God trying to warn us leading up to that point? You guys better get your act together as a nation, because if you don't, something bad is going to happen, and I'm going to allow it to happen. I'm going to take my hands of protection off of you, and I'm going to allow this to happen. But the cool thing is, what happened after that? Well, America united stronger as a country. He let it happen. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Please email me, feel free. The other thing is, in 2012, there were two devastating events that took place. One was the Sandy Hook Elementary in Connecticut, and the other one was Hurricane Sandy. And I don't think it's ironic that the name is Sandy in both of those. If you look up Sandy in the Greek, it's Alexandra. Sandy comes from the word Alexandria. Alexandria means protector of mankind. That's interesting to me. It's very thought-provoking. It makes you think, we've just been attacked. Did we do this ourselves? Were we so engulfed in sin and immorality and all this stuff as a nation that God let this happen? I don't know. Maybe. But that's why God is sovereign, because He knows. And He ultimately has a plan. I just am thinking, this was my thought process when these happened. I don't know. But anyway, very interesting short, very tough short. I did not know, I still don't know how to present it, or that I presented it well. Anywho, my name is Stephanie Polans. I'm one of the leaders at Allure. And if you want to know what's coming up at Allure, you can go to our website. It's right there on the screen. You can also follow us on Twitter, AllureWM, and you can like us on Facebook at Allure Women's Movement. And lastly, you can subscribe to us on YouTube. All right, see you later.